Raider Nation, question to you. Should Brandon Aiyuk come to the silver and black? Today we're going to be talking about it. All that and more on today's episode of the Raider D. Now, we've all heard of the tweets and the posts by his brother and his baby mama, all of the drama that is out there on the internet, putting pressure on Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers to either make a long-term deal with him and make him happy or move on from him. But we're not going to bore the Raider Nation with a bunch of regurgitated information that we've already heard. Today, we're just going to be simply talking about, should the Raider Nation make a move for Brandon Aiyuk, and does this make sense for the Raiders? By the time I get done making the case for this, I want you to hit me down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. So let's just dive into what would Brandon Aiyuk bring to the Raiders if a trade were to happen, and how much would it potentially cost the Raiders. Number one, Brandon Aiyuk is going into his 5th year in the NFL, a former first-round draft pick who has steadily progressed throughout each and every single one of his years with the San Francisco 49ers under that terrific coaching of Kyle Shanahan. Number two is that Brandon Aiyuk has developed into a complete receiver. He has a tree route that is absolutely outstanding. It is difficult to defend this man, and he has hands like he painted them with glue. Number three thing that he would bring to the Raiders is stability, as well as pulling pressure off of Davante Adams. Now, we all know that Trey Tucker is an up-and-coming little cheetah part 2. But Trey Tucker is not a complete receiver, at least not yet. Remember, it took Brandon Aiyuk 4 full years to become the receiver he is today in the NFL. You can expect something similar in the progression tree of Trey Tucker. We don't have time to wait for that. Davante Adams is going to be 30 years old, and he's just going to continue to get older. By the time he's 33, 34, he will not be the Davante Adams he is today. So we need to make our move now. Bringing Brandon Aiyuk in gives us a complete receiver. The next thing about Brandon Aiyuk that we really like and should be intrigued about, especially with the new type of offense that we're going to be running, which is going to be run heavy, is the fact that Brandon Aiyuk is one of the league's best run blocking receivers, which is absolutely essential, nation, to the type of offense that we will be running. This offense requires receivers to be able to block downfield, and Brandon Aiyuk excels at this very well. The next thing is, Brandon Aiyuk simply wants to be in the silver and black, and Coach AP has already said multiple times that he only wants players who want to be Raiders, and not everybody's cut out to be a Raider. The thing is, Brandon Aiyuk wants to be a Raider, and even in San Francisco, he's well liked and respected by his locker room, which hopefully means that he would fit in just fine with the silver and black locker room. Now, with all that being said, let's move on to the money, because that's really what it's going to come down to. How much is this going to cost us, potentially, if we're going to be doing a trade? And does this mean that we could potentially throw in Hunter Renfro and grab a Brandon Aiyuk? Hunter Renfro would work very well in Kyle Shanahan's offense. He simply doesn't shine too well in ours. Now, granted, they're definitely not going to trade a Hunter Renfro for a Brandon Aiyuk, but you could throw in a draft pick and a Hunter Renfro so that they're getting a proven Pro Bowl quality receiver, and they're getting another draft pick. But what would the draft pick be? Obviously, you're talking about a Pro Bowl young wide receiver, and that's going to cost you a lot, especially being that he was a first-round draft pick. So if the Raiders have to give up a first-round draft pick, that pretty much guarantees that we're not going to get a Jaden Daniels, because we've already given up our draft capital in the free agency to grab a Brandon Aiyuk. But maybe the plan isn't for Jaden Daniels. Maybe that's all a bunch of smokescreen. Maybe we're actually going after a Michael Penix Jr., a guy who can make every single NFL throw and be ready probably by week 1 of the 2024 season. Let me know your thoughts down below, nation. And this would give the Raiders a successor to Davante Adams as wide receiver 1, as Adams begins to age out through his career and eventually either retires or moves on from the silver and black. And do the Raider podcast a big, huge favor by liking this video and subscribe. If you have not yet done so, make sure that you hit that bell notification, because we post daily Raiders information just for you. Just win, baby.